Welcome to What's in My Drawers Christmas edition. And we are going to be talking about golf fittings, repairs, opinions, and we're going to talk some Christmassy stuff while we're at it. And what you see behind me is a bit of a new Christmassy vibe feel. You see my golf Santa over here. I got one in each corner, and the candle lights going. setting the tone up for the next hour, right? So as usual, we talk about why what's in my drawers, because old guys are total pack rats when it comes to club making stuff. And we've expanded this to people around the world, and I thank every last one of you for showing up. And today is going to be no different. In fact, we already preloaded some questions that I got. And we're going to talk about a giveaway that I'm going to do. So you got to stay tuned. I'm not going to talk about it right this very second, so we need to do that. And if Mrs. McGolf would give me the actual item, I could show them too. First thing that I got a request to bend some hybrids. We're going to start right out of the box. Oh, you got that one. Look at that. Already had it. Okay. So I got a request from Texas to bend some of the new Callaway BB21 hybrids. And since they're brand new, not everybody knows. How about that? Not everybody knows if they're bendable or not. And me either. Callaway wouldn't touch them for our friend. And so I said, well, send me one and let's give it a try and we'll do it. Well, he sent me his whole set. He had I believe it was a 4 through an 8 in the hybrids, and there was 2 7s. So we started measuring them, and they were all 2 degrees upright, which is what he wanted, except for the 7-iron that was hit the most. So that prompted a phone call. And it turns out, yea, verily, the one that he was hitting was the one that we thought that was hit the most. And he said it was a little flat, and we measured him compared to that, and everything was 2 degrees upright. Didn't have to bend anything, which I thought, wow, I have him right out of it now, except for he wanted me to bend the last one. And, oh, my goodness. So we took it really, really slow. And if you stay with me for this one, it's about a minute 30 seconds, and we'll show you. Here's how it went. So a little bit of a Christmas theme on bending hybrids. So there's a lot to take away from that in a minute and 30 seconds. Number one, you saw where I was putting my ear down to the club, and that was while I was tightening it down. Why do I do that? Because hybrids nowadays are made with there's Kevlar cap on it, right? And if you tighten too far down, you can bust that cap clean off. And the way that the new BB21s are made is that edge that they used to connect it to has gotten smaller, and because of the new manufacturing processes. So you really have to be really careful about crunching down on it. And that's the reason why I listen there. And then the one on the back, where I'm coming from the back side of it, is also to force the face up against the rail there, and that is to also keep this thing as solid as I possibly can, because I don't want it moving in the jig, because I don't want to scratch it, right? I don't want to risk this thing popping up and out. I just want to bend the hosels. That's the reason why that's so important. Then you see me I was changing out bending bars. I have, again, an old school bending bar, but it's what they call a short hosel bending bar. And what it's turned out to be is really good for hosels on hybrids, because I can just get it and I can kind of do like that versus just pushing it forward and get it to move on me. Now, it took about 2 attempts, and basically all I could get was a degree. I could have probably forced a little bit more out of it, but it's a very expensive club, and I want to make sure that Vic was going to be able to hit them. So you get to where my level of comfort goes, so I don't try and break things. And then it came out, and then you check. Now, the other thing is, if you noticed that I checked the lie angle first, in order to ensure I saw a movement, that I saw that I was making progress as opposed to just going. Something that must be done, right, in order to do that. So they're all getting packaged up, and they're all sent out, Vic, if you're on today. And so that's where we're going to go with that. And while I've got you all on here, I'm seeing I'm racking up comments, but just to get started, since this is the Christmas edition, Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas to you guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying what's left of the new year, and well wishes to everybody. Alrighty. Also, we'll get the business out of the way. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and that way we can keep things moving along. And again, we'll announce this one, but tomorrow is a very good video on, I reviewed the Wilson staff iron. All right, the Wilson staff iron. We did the bag last time, but I already had it done. I did the Wilson staff iron, and you guys need to see it. There's a lot going on in that iron. So we'll let it go. That's going to go off at 7 o'clock, okay? Now, and as we always throw out a little bit, if anybody got to watch the PNC, which is the father and son, right? Team Thomas apparently kicked a little butt at the very end and went -15 in the final round. Holy cow. And I think that was probably to show Team Woods that they weren't messing around. And Charlie was the star of the weekend, hitting some pretty good shots. Although I think Team Daly and Junior were going to be, we're getting some stuff done out there. But it looks like Team Thomas, Singh, O'Mara, Trevino, and Kite. So that was the way that ended up. So congrats to them. All righty. And onward to David from England. He sent me a question. And it's a good question. And I get to show you something extra while I'm doing it. So the question is, I'm going to have to use 2 different shafts to kind of prove my point. If you have a taper tip shaft and you have a taper tipped head, okay? And I just got these in. Check these out. Modus 105 Pros in the black. Guess whose clubs these are going in? These for me. So anyway, let's say you have to add weight to the head, and when you add weight to the head, and in any real amount, right, you're going to use a tip weight, and this guy right here is a tip weight, and it's a 6 grammer. That's a significant amount of portion of the tip going in. So what happens when you do that? Well, when you go to put it in there, now that instead of the taper starting here, it's getting down here. Now it doesn't seat. So when you put it in, it wobbles around in there. Okay, it wobbles around. So what do you do in order to make it not wobble? Well, you use one of these. All right, and what you do, this is a, not this exact one, but you use the 335 to 370. Really? Hold that thought. Well, we tried something new and it failed miserably. Alrighty, so what you'd use is, use this. It's a brass shim, but you use the 355 to 370 brass shim. And what that'll do is that'll take up the space that's on the bottom. Now, you're going to be making, you're like, well, what about the rest? Well, keep in mind that this is always going to be a little smaller than the actual tip, and then all of a sudden you've gone from the bottom where this fits, and we're talking about a taper, you've just moved it up that 1/4 of an inch or so, so you need to take up all that room. So the 335 to 370 does a phenomenal job in doing that. So that's where you want to go. Okay. And last but not least, if you're watching out there, Egg Harbor, Township, New Jersey. It finally got in here today. I don't know quite what I'm building yet, but the mail has been awful around here. It took off at about, they mailed it on the 7th, and it's just now getting here today. That's pretty bad. And I guess we're seeing all kinds of that everywhere. So that gets it through there. Last thing is the builds. Like you guys, if you guys are watching the Instagram, this got a lot of attention. Here it goes. See, I was putting together a set of these, and the ferrule cracked. And oh my gosh, the ferrule cracked, and didn't see it until I was almost done with it. I smoothed it out because normally I check it out. Well, I had to take it apart, put it back together. And I put this one out there as well. Now, before you get all over me and say, oh, look at that smudge. Well, in reality, that's a reflection. All right, that's a reflection. And it was really quite cool. So I'm glad we saw it before it went out, because you always feel it. And I didn't feel anything, but it caught me out of the corner of my eye. So there we go. And for Cal, which got sent out today, if you watch the other Instagram, we had to re-swing weight his Mizunos. He wanted a D series, but it turned out the max we could get would be in the high C9 area, and he didn't. It was too heavy, so he sent him back. I had to take off all those really cool ones that were over in the bottom left, as you see, and he sent me those new cool blue ones. So those turned into those. So that was a lot of fun, and we did get him what he was looking for. And then a set that went out, one of these things is not like the other. Nice set of another Mizuno set with a Wilson Staff 60. And that's a Modus, and then we have the KBS shafts that are going out in them. And then last but not least, yet another set. And these are for a young man, a doctor. I can't say his name because I believe these are Christmas presents. C-taper lights with the Aligns. So they are very, very, those came out extraordinarily well. And then last but not least, the company that I'm working with, that I got what I like to lovingly call the Zombie Apocalypse radio. That's that charger. It's the one that you can charge and you get all different kinds of radio stations. So I'm ready if we ever lose power. Okay, so there we go through that one again. And You guys have heard me talk about this guy once before, and well, I tell you what, we'll hold on to that because we want to catch up some stuff, and we'll talk about the giveaway here in a little bit. All right, let's get to some comments. All the way to the top. Here we go. Phil. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Thank you very much. I had to break into some Dalmore today. We got rid of all the Fittich XX. It's a little darker. Not bad. All righty. And the same to you, sir. Same to you and your family. Brendan from Northern Ireland. I didn't even have to look. Where are you? What's going on? We're heading for another lockdown for 6 weeks. Oh, my gosh. Well, hopefully you guys can get your last day of golf in. I know you're a stout bunch, and you can get her done. So again, and Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas, I guess is the way to say it for you guys. I'm trying to be a good visitor, and hopefully you guys can get through this thing. Matt, what did we shoot today, Matt? 71 in the cold and the wet, and that is no kidding. It was awful down here. All right, here we go. And this one's a good one for you guys. Would you rather hit your drive 300 in the fairway every time or make an 8-footer in every putt? And Merry Christmas to you guys up north. That's a good question. What do you guys think? I'm going to go for the 8-foot putt every time. That was my weakness this year. We can always recover from a bad drive, but three putting stinks. And if I can make an 8-footer, which is just about where I was at, I'd probably drop about 9 strokes. So yeah, I'd take that one. There's our friends from Redemption Custom Clubs. They're back. Well done, guys. Thank you for showing up. Here we go. There's David. Nearly into 2020. Sir, I totally agree. I'm glad that I can help. And Merry Christmas to you guys as well across on the pond. We all need it this time of year, I believe. All right. Good evening, Jim. This is Dean from Cold Toodly-Doo, or Toledo. This is the first time I've listened to the podcast live. Have a good show. Thank you, Dean. Thank you for coming in from Toledo. That's great. Texas is in the house. Sean Moran. Sean, what do you say, man? Did you get over all that stuff? Baltimore. Thank you. Thank you, Baltimore. Recently gifted a new driver. My gamer is a current model as well. What should I look in comparing the two? Spin and dispersion. Well, assuming everything else is the same in the weight and the length and the lofts and the lies, the two biggest things is, spin and dispersion is also quite important, but you'd be surprised on what the difference in the way that profile makes in the shaft for club head speed. Traditionally, because I also carry Callaway here, and I will test against Mizuno's and other clubs, and almost universally, when they swing a Callaway, they end up picking up between 1 and 3 miles per hour. And that can translate, if you're finding the middle of the club face, that can translate into almost 10 yards. And so you really want to look at that as well. But, and it depends on how you spin it. I would be really concerned about the quality of the hit and then the dispersion, because quality of hit will override all the rest. Well, Jeff, if you mailed it, buddy, it's, unless this is you. Nope, that's not you. If you mailed it, it appears that everything coming through the mail is about 2, maybe 3 weeks behind right now. And it depends on, and I think it depends on what part of the country it's coming from as well. So we need to look at that. Eldon, thank you, sir. And from North Carolina. Whoo! Nice. Is it cold or is it cold or is it just damp? And I see you got the infinite happening. Very good. Jeff, and Merry Christmas to you and yours. All right, here we go. What do you do instead of frequency matching for 355 taper tips shafts as a set you don't trim? David, not much. There's not a lot you can do. If you're going to deal in taper tip a lot, there is one way of, you can do basically what I call extreme old school. And what you could do is order 3 and 4 sets. And this used to be a thing that they would do. You would order 3 and 4 sets and you would match up all the sets. And normally you might get 1, 2 sets out of it and send the rest back. And because you couldn't do anything with the other sets. Now this was back in the day when QA was really, really bad. And the flexes would be wildly out of shape. And so the guys would order 3, 4, 5 sets, and they would start frequency matching them just with a singular weight, just to try and get some level of consistency. And if they got all of them, grand. If they didn't, they went back. And that's what they used to do in the day. Now, what I would do to check is I would check weights. Sometimes, now in graphite, not so much, but in steel, every once in a while you get one that slides out of whack on you as far as weight. And I did some here not too long ago, and luckily they were within. I give myself about a 2 gram tolerance one way or another. Well, 2 grams. So if I'm like at 119, so 117 or 118, 120 in that direction, maybe 2 grams in either direction. And every once in a while I'll find a flyer. It'd be 5, 6 grams out of tolerance. And if you look, it's wildly wrong. So you have to figure out how you may adjust through that, whether you need to add a weight if it's really, really low, or go get you another one, or figure out how that's going to work, and maybe let the golfer know that's what you got. So, and then compare it, put it in there and frequency match it. It very well may show up and it might be perfect, and then you only have to worry about a swing weight. Jack and Lombard, Merry Christmas to you guys too. Okay, we got another question. I have a Project XLZ 120 6.0. What shaft specs should I be looking for in my driving iron? Well, driving irons are a bit of a different animal in that they're probably a little closer towards a hybrid nowadays as far as the stuff that will go in them. But if you're swinging basically a 120 is close to standard. 6.0 would be very close, in my opinion, to very upper end stiff to almost extra stiff. And the LZ means it's trying to get you up in the air just a tiny bit. They call it loading zone, landing zone, launch zone, what do you want to call that. And I would be looking at what seems to be a very, very common is they got that orange Tour AD. That one seems to be a really neat one. I wouldn't be afraid to look at a hybrid shaft to put in it. But I would also look at maybe another one. If you've got a dealer down there, I would look at the Acra FX 2.0, the red, in that particular spec, maybe an M4 trimmed, and you might like it very, very well. You could also, trying to get around to the other side, if you like a little bit of counterbalance, what was just released was the VA Composites just released a counterbalanced hybrid shaft, and it is of the Nemesis variety. I had to look at it, and that one looks to be really, really cool. I'm looking at trying to get one of those in here too, and I would try that. Frank from France, thank you, sir, for joining us all that way. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. What is the best way to tell what length of putter you should be playing? I would say it'd be relegated to your stance, in that your eye is somewhere close to the line that you can see, because not everybody sees the line exactly the same way. But not over the line, but back. If you have a medical problem, then you have to deal with that one as well. But it's about how you set up to the ball. That's the way I would be looking at it. Do I have any experience of wooden dowels being installed into steel shafts at the top of the hosel? What would this do? Yes, I do, and I've pulled many out. And what the wooden dowel was, a way of extending the golf club. And they would go through there, and the wooden dowels really weren't a bad idea, because they weren't like a real heavy hardwood, and they would stick in the butt of the shaft about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, and you would spend a lot of time sanding it to get it to really almost press fit in, because it was wood to steel, which finding a glue to really get that was always really difficult in the past. So you really wanted to make sure it was wedged in very, very well, and glued along with it. And then every once in a while, if you went really, really long, it would probably make the club feel almost counterbalanced, right? And then to a point, what you would find in a lot of cases back in the Nicholas era, that's what they would do. They would insert a piece of dowel to a certain length and then drill out the middle of it and then pour molten lead in it. Nicholas had counterbalance shafts, or counterbalance clubs, only all homemade, and that's how they did it. And I totally respect the club maker that had to take that on a regular basis. Merry Christmas to you too, Joey. Northwest Georgia. Holy cow, we are really getting it here. Popelish, first time here. Well, welcome aboard, buddy. If you got a question, you know what to do. There's Russ. Happy holidays to you guys too. You're played Saturday and playing tomorrow, 50 degrees in central Illinois. That weather's supposed to be here in 2 days. And I'm going to try and sneak one out as well. And we'll see how that works out, because right after it, it's going to plummet. It's supposed to get right back into the 20s. Oh, windy in Cornwall. I'm glad to hear the Diamana. So he bought a Diamana shaft from us on our. We were having a bit of a yard sale, as we call it, and he finally got it and put it in there. You need to tell him what you threw out, how far you threw the rock out in the yard, and let him know, because he's no slouch, none whatsoever. There we go. Well done, Matt. What he means by that, that's the years married. I believe that's your anniversary, right? I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Congrats. All right, Vladimir. Oh, hey, buddy. What would happen if I put longer shafts in my irons so I'm more upright? Well, they will feel heavier. The swing weight will get heavier by design. Assuming that, let's just say 1-for-1, and almost every time, the swing weight will get heavier, and then the clubs will become more upright, if I got that right. And so you'll have to redo a loft lie, do a gap and a lie angle session, and then you can get it set up there. Also, what can happen is unless this is something that you truly need, it can also affect your quality of your hit. Okay, and you got to kind of keep in mind, going longer doesn't. Again, if it's something that you're doing it because there's something wrong with your back and you need to stand up, I get that. But you know, sometimes maybe a little closer and have the line angles adjusted for that instead. All right, Central Illinois here. Well, thanks for making it on this time. And do I prefer 1750 or 3400 RPMs for my Sanders, and why? Hands down, man, 1750, or as most people would say, 1800 versus the 36. And that's just based on our 60 hertz system that we have here, right? But 1750 works. And the reason why 1750, because normally that shows up in bigger belts. So there's two reasons why I do this. Number one, it's moving slower so that if you make a mistake, the mistake won't be as big. All right, because let's say you accidentally lean into it and you go, oh, crud, and you decide to pull back on it. Yes, it's going to have a mark, but if you're running at 3600 RPM, it's going to chew in more because it's just rotating that much faster. Now, the other part is it also typically, with a slower one, comes with a larger belt. You go from 42-inch to basically a 30-inch belt, and there's just more real estate, so they tend to last longer. Okay, that's the reason why. And so far they've been, and the other part is the slower ones, I think, have a look. Now, don't quote me on this one, but I believe they have more torque. And because of that, again, my own personal opinion, I think they last longer. All right, hitting all the clubs good except for the 5 hybrid, always off the toe. Everything else is dead in the middle. Any ideas? Russ, when you get up into that particular, when you leave the irons and you get into the hybrids, sometimes you take a different stance, or because you think it's a hybrid, you have to swing a little bit harder, and then so you make this other turn. From that angle. So I know I suffer from that in my what would be my 3 hybrid. I just know I've got to hit it so far, and I make this extra move on it, and I tend to turn it, and it turns into the snap hook, just this low driving snap hook. And what I had to do is just basically calm down and hit my normal swing. And as soon as I did, I started just absolutely crushing the ball. And so I had to just basically just reevaluate what was going on, how I was approaching the ball with a different club. And same to you, sir. Same to you. There's Brian. Not a problem, partner. Anytime. Merry Christmas to you. There's James. Was wondering what was happening. Well, good for you. We've been paying quite a bit of attention, considering of course the kids are out there, and we hear about lockdowns and the things they can and cannot do, and it just, holy cow, for all it costs to live out there, it's a good thing you guys are paying that kind of jack for those houses, because it must be nice to lay in. I just wish we could get done with this stuff and everybody just get back out to it. There's Scott. Thank you for joining us, and Merry Christmas to you. And he's on Facebook. Well done, sir. Travis, Merry Christmas to you and yours as well, buddy. Hopefully Santa shows up with the TSI driver and the new hoofer bag. Kent, how are you, sir? The staff irons look sweet, and they very much are. And yeah, in a little bit, I compare them to the the V6 is kind of their FG series, but more like F series as opposed to FG, right? And but these things are very, very. The best thing I can call them is extraordinarily solid. And you got to keep in mind, when I was doing my testing, that I was hitting a DGS 300 in it, and I'm not a fan. But I tell you what, I got a hold of it that day. So good. Tiger, burning bright. Why are wedge shafts heavier than iron shafts? Well, sir, typically what it is that wedges are typically not full swing clubs. And because they're not full swing clubs and there's finesse, what it's doing, it's weighing you in, and so that you can keep track of the club through the whole swing and not lose it in a swing, basically. The other one is so that it, you always hear about the being heavier so that you get down and underneath the ball. I don't know if that's so much true or not, but it certainly helps. It fits the dynamic of the use of a wedge and trying to get underneath the ball. Everything is for a nice, fluid, controlled swing that, gets into the turf, or gets into the ball, gets in the turf, and gets under it so that it will pop up. And that's basically the reason why we do it. Here we go. Travis, how are you, sir? Merry Christmas to you as well. Does adding weight to the butt end of the shaft shift swing weight really change anything, since it's not really affecting shaft performance, or is it under your head? Well, that's a good question. Okay, so it does. Adding weight to the butt does change swing weight, and it puts more of it underneath your hands. If you are somebody that has, let's say, a fast tempo, or what would be called an aggressive swing, chances are you're going to like it better because you're feeling here, not way out there. Okay, and so that you really don't want a whole bunch out at the head. You want it in your hands. It allows you a place to feel and get down through there. And that's what you're looking for at that particular place. Is it impacting shaft performance? No, it's more impacting the feel and the way that you are going through the ball. Now, yeah, and that's pretty much it. And but a lot of people will like it underneath this versus out onto the head. Alrighty, before we get moving, I'm going to do a real quick check. Okay. I'm going to go back here. Oh, we got whole bunches. I got to get all the way back to the top. Here we go. Alrighty, so we're kind of in the middle of it. And the friends from Groove It Golf sent me one of these. And I wanted to do a review. And I've done a review, but I wanted to, he ran through and he sold out his original stock, so that's awesome. So I want to talk to you guys about this one as a Christmas accessory. It's a little late now, right? But maybe not so much. But I want to just talk to you about what this is, and we're going to start from the top to the bottom. All right, it's got the little carabiner that can hook onto your bag. And so it's an easy use carabiner, and then it has the regular keychain, right, so it can come apart. And so far, now I'm speaking from experience because I've had one of these on my bag for an entire year, and I can account to, I'm just absolutely taken with this is one heck of a magnet. To the point I've come back a few times, and I found the towel in between it, and it's still holding on and not slipping. But check this out. That's huge. And then it's a little heavier, well, same kind of key ring on here to hold it on. This is one very, very strong magnet. Now, what's so special about this than any other brush? Well, number one, it's a brush that you can fill. All right, you just put water in there and away you go. I suppose you could put soapy water in there. You get water in there, there you go. And then what it is, you get a good handhold on a whole platform. Either way, you get a whole bunch of nylon brushes. Why is that important? Well, I used to carry one of those. There was a brass brush that you had on a tether that you would carry on your bag. and carrying it to and from the car, carrying it on a quick round to walk or whatever, that thing would jam me in the back because of where it would hang. And I hated that. And these guys are not like that, right? They're just not like that. The nylon it's not brutal to your hand, but it's good enough. It's going to clean everything, and it's not going to scrape even the dark face drivers. Now, don't clean the crown or any of that other stuff. I wouldn't do that. And also, it's really good what I found out. Have you seen that Wilson naked golf ball that's out there? It doesn't have the coating on it. I use this to scrub it off and at least make it look presentable. So this thing is definitely worth the investment. And so if I was you, I would go take a look at these guys. They're not, the only thing he's done, they're not sponsoring this or anything like that. The only thing he's done is he's giving me this, and I'm going to give it to one of you guys. So I was kind of hoping that the gentleman's name is Nicholas. I'm trying to put it back in the box. Here we go. There we go. So there we go. The Groove It tool. All right, let's see if I missed anything. Fill the cap, ergonomic design, cleans the grooves, 3-year guarantee, and they're out of Oklahoma. All righty, so we're going to give that away towards the end, so stay along with us, and then that way we'll know. So again, this is they just gave me this to give away, and so there you are. And I do like it. I mean, it's been out there, I've used it, and I've only filled it up once, because the squirter doesn't take a lot to get on the face, and then you can get it going. In today's environment with all the wet, they might get a little more use out of it, but it did a good job. So there we go. All right, Harlan, Merry Christmas to you. Price notwithstanding for a mid-handicapper lefty. Would you recommend the Maltby STI 2 or the Wilson Forge D7? Looking at the recoil F4 stiff soft step. Thanks. Well, the only two things I would go with here on this is, number one is of course I've hit both of those, and the STI has a little more offset, or a substantial amount of offset. It has more offset than the D7 forged. There are two different categories where for the STI 2 would be for the mid handicapper to more towards the beginning player, where the Wilson F7 Forge is more at the mid-handicapper going towards the better player. So depending on where you want to go with your game. The recoil itself is a good shaft. You're not going to be missing anything with that. Now the other thing to remember is if you're going the STI, it's parallel tip, where the Wilson is not. Now, if we do it, we can rim them out and we can use the same one. That way you get frequency matching. If not, then we soft step it. So that's what I would look at. Mr. Steve from Taiwan, sir. Holy cow. Merry Christmas to you. That's one place I'd like to go. Are you guys anywhere near the golf mechanic? He's supposedly down in that neck of the woods. Danny Robinson, 66-year-old male here. Okay. With a 75-mile-an-hour clubhead speed. Currently play Callaway Epic Flash, Project X, Even Flow Green. Nice driver. Is there any better option for my swing speed? Also, I'm thinking about some new irons this coming spring. How do you judge whether graphite shafts are good for someone? Merry Christmas to both of you. Well, Danny, Merry Christmas to you too. All right, 75-mile-an-hour clubhead speed is certainly in that senior flex range. And here's the thing. Number one, I'm more about quality of hit than I am the length of the club. All right, everybody's like, well, if you have this really long club and you hit it, it's going to go faster. Yes, but if you don't hit it in the middle of the face, you're not going to go as far. So number one, I would check to make sure you have the right length in this Project X Even Flow Green and the Epic Flash. Now, coming up soon is a new Epic that's coming out. That's one way of looking at it. Now there's one, and I don't carry these guys, but I've been hearing some things about it. If you're not playing in regulated tournaments that have a set of rules and you're looking just to get more distance, there's a crank driver head, a driver that's made by Crank, and it's illegal. It has way more bounce and way more give that you would probably like. And inside that, if you're a smoother golfer and you can, you do that kind of stuff, and this 45 is working for you, then either something similar, maybe an Acura in the blue in the FX 2.0 or the I series, or even something very similar to this one in that same weight and flex category, and you can go with that. New irons and graphite shafts. So that's the thing, right? At 66, you're running that cusp. They're going to see and they're going to go, oh, you're 66, you need graphite. Why do they say that? And it's because they want you to generate more swing speed so that you can hit the ball further. However, if you're an aggressive swinger and this thing is way too light, you're not going to find the right part of the club. And going ever so slightly heavier might be the way to go. No, I don't mean go back to 120s or anything like that. You might go, instead of the super lights, you might go the next category up, right? Because there are some 40-gram iron shafts out there too. Now, if you're smoother and you really like that, then yeah, you could even go lower and stay with graphite. The other one is graphite is a tremendous shock absorber. It's really good to take the sting. So if you got stingy hands or stingy shoulders and you don't want to keep feeling that, then graphite's your way. Derek, Merry Christmas to you in Middle Tennessee. Well done. Syracuse back in the house. Lincoln Talk with Bill and Jacques. Okay. Lincoln Talk with Bill and Jacques. That actually rhymes. Is the grip on the club behind you, your bending machine, non-tapered grip? Over here? The answer to that would be yes, it's a non-tapered grip. The CP2 Pro. Edward, Chicagoland, Merry Christmas to you. Hopefully you can get out. Some of the guys in the middle of the state are thinking about it. All right. Also, Harlan wants to know, in your opinion, is a piered graphite shaft and a 60-degree wedge a waste, or if not, or is just a stick in a stock steel shaft? Well, excuse me. I don't know necessarily stock steel. I would make sure that it's the right weight and that kind of stuff and the right profile, because wedge shafts are coming in profiles now. I think piered, I don't know, but any way that you can make that club more consistent for you, I'd do it. I just think that they do consistency. Whether it gives you this extra kick that they talk about or any of that stuff, I'm just looking at it, making it all act the same. Now, yeah, I know it's like you're not taking a full swing. However, you will eventually. But, it just makes it the consistent. So that's a good question. I think it would depend on what you really believe in puring does for you. If you think it really does a good job, then I would say yes. If you're kind of on the fence, then I would say no. Michael Ocean, Merry Christmas to you. Los Angeles, California. Thank you, sir. Man, that's awesome. We're getting them all over the place today. The Christmas thing. Where are you guys seeing all this stuff? I'm glad that we're getting new folks. It's just great. Okay. When swing weighting clubs, is it common to have tip weights in some clubs but not in others throughout a set? The answer is yes. So what is really relegated to the combination of shaft weight and head weight. And every once in a while you can get a head weight that's either extraordinary light and you got to build it up, or if you have to add, maybe there's one just really heavy and the rest of them are normal, and you're finding that weight for the rest of them. But yeah, it's particularly in OEMs. That's a very common practice. South Mountain, Ontario, sir. Thank you again for joining us. Asked from some ticks in my hit. Yes. Oh, okay. Well, let me know when you get it. I'm really interested in seeing what that's all about. I want to see some. If you guys got pictures of your shop, send them to me. I'll put them on here. I want to see what other guys are doing. You'd be surprised what other folks can pick up, and it's out there. Alrighty, so while we're doing all this, we're going to talk about that guy. If Mrs. McGolf is listening, I'm going to let her pick out the winner, whatever method she chooses, and she can just open up the door here in the last bit of it when she warns me what time it is, and let me know who's the winner. Harlan, that is probably the best way to say it right there. There we go, Mark. Well done, sir. Poplish. Got a full set of TaylorMades for Christmas this year at McGolf Custom Clubs. Oh, really? I don't know. We don't carry TaylorMade, but maybe we refurbished them for you. Henry's back. Some thoughts on irons with thinner soles and less offset that offer some forgiveness. Do they exist? Yeah. Yeah, when you're talking about forgiveness in a couple of cases, when we talk about forgiveness, number one, we think cavity back, right? And how big and how deep a cavity. Now, we've also talked about that, as a whole, a lot of offset, a lot of thicker sole, when that means is pulling the center of gravity back, that all makes this club more forgiving. And to an extent, that's true, but they're all basing it off of a golfer that slices. Okay, a golfer that slices. Now, what if you're not that guy that slices? What if you're a guy that hits a dead straight ball, or even he hits a hook? Then something that with a less offset will be way more forgiving for you than something with a lot of offset. And let's say, again, that you're not a divot taker, you're more of a picker. And if that's, again, the case, then the thinner soles will work for you quite a bit. And certainly they do exist, okay? Right off the bat, if you're looking for something, and depending on how thin you really want to go, but I would look at, and I'm going to stay within my ballpark, Callaway, if you're their pro model in the Maverick has a thinner sole, not butter knife thin, but thin, and very little offset, and it's still pretty strong lofted. I would look at Mizuno has their forged club. It's not going to be as strong lofted, but you could probably press it forward a little bit. Same thing with Wilson's new staff, but you're gonna have to generate some club head speed to get up, even strengthened a couple of degrees. You'll see that tomorrow if you watch the video. Srixon would probably do that, and they have a model that very low offset, and they have that V sole. It looks wide, but the V sole, it's a lot less turf engagement that you would think of. And I would go with that. And we're really trying to get into what I would call normal soles. Again, if you didn't mind so much, so much offset, you could also look at the Maverick Standard. And you kind of have to judge that one for yourself, because it does have offset, but it has a very fine sole. And I like the soles that curve. Right, I don't like flat soles. The soles that curve, and those would be ones that I would look at. There you go. Well done. Good. There's my man from Sweden. There you go, sir. Merry Christmas to you. Jack. The Space Coast. Al, Merry Christmas to you and yours as well. Here we go. From Germany. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jack. And Merry Christmas to you as well. Well, here we go. Danny's on Facebook. Travis is on Facebook. Bob's on Facebook. Well done, guys. Thank you for popping in. Rob's from Canada. Thank you, Rob, for checking in. That's pretty doggone cool. All right, here we go. Henry's asking, who benefits most from counterbalanced driver shafts? Well, I think we talked about that. The guy that's probably a little more aggressive. So there's two schools of thought with counterbalancing. Number one, because it's counterbalanced, it allows you to make a longer club without sacrificing swing weight. And that's a neat thing, is particularly if you're making a club for, say, a 7-footer, right? That would be pretty phenomenal feel for a guy like that, particularly if he's not aggressive, which leads us into number two. If the guy is very, right, and you want to put a little bit more, right where we talked about before, a counterbalance can do that. Now, is it like moving a pound from one place to another? No, this is a very, it's a very gentle move of weight, and it's not necessarily so much, well, I guess it could be weight, in that they really mess around with the balance point and where they put the flags or the wrapping, or they put them more towards the butt than they do the tip, and it moves the balance point back towards the butt, and it gives them that counterbalanced feel. Now, if I was to give you a counterbalanced shaft and not tell you, would you know it? Maybe, right? If you have a sensitive feel to the club, then yes, you would know it. But if I was to show you and give you one and then show you a regular one and give you another one, then you would certainly see it. And then that would probably help you out. Look at that. Dan's Club Repair from Facebook as well in Camp Hill, PA. Well, Merry Christmas to you guys as well. Here's Pooey. I've been waiting on this one. So this is the one that I tell you what, it's in a TaylorMade RBZ and 358. Good gravy. That is awesome. And on wet links. So we got a little bit of downwind.
3 minutes.
And?
Al Burnett.
All righty. So she gave me the 3-minute warning, and she picked Al Burnett. Okay, Al Burnett. So Al, if you're still with us, send me an email, mcgolfshop@roadrunner.com. Or put the note in the show notes, and that you're there, and we'll mail this guy out to you. And Merry Christmas, right? Al got the first McGolf gift. Huh. There's Brian. Merry Christmas to you guys. Wales in lockdown. Oh. Did you guys even get out? I know that they had like a reprieve for maybe 2 or 3 days, and then you were back into it. But and the vaccines, you guys have got the vaccines now. I know they're making a priority list. Hopefully you guys are towards the top. How would you address a strike pattern towards the toe? Line, length, lessons? Henry, not to sound like a turd, but the answer would be yes. Number one is I always look at the length to make sure, because that's consistency. Then from there I do a lie angle, and then from there, then we're talking about total weights and flex profiles and things like that. And then if that still doesn't help, then we're into lessons. Certainly you could use lessons. Anybody could use a lesson, that's for sure. Houston, Texas. Thank you, sir. We have got them on all the coasts now, up in north and south, all over the place. There's my buddy Bob. That's my golfing partner right there. Okay. There's Russ or Jeff. I thought maybe you're going to be in. All right. Maybe. I would say that's also a maybe as well. I won't say that's it, but it's a maybe. There's always that can help. Mike Sloan, Southern West Virginia. Well, sir, thanks for checking in. Oop, I just jumped right to the top again. Here we go. Renee Hanula. Greetings from the Jersey Shore. Exit 74. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, what exit you off of, eh? Fitted for irons 2 degrees upright. Does the hybrid and fairwood usually follow as well? Merry Christmas. And same to you, Renee. I would say the hybrid probably will. The fairway wood, I don't know. Because the fairway was such a different animal. It gets a lot longer, and it just depends. You know, you might think yes, but if you're swinging, because there's not a lot of people that hit both the hybrid and the fairway wood very, very well at the same time. And like we just saw Bob crushes a fairway wood, absolutely throttles it. And then he goes into his irons and he just nukes the irons, not so much in between. But he can, but he's just better with that fairway wood. He just kills it. Anyway, the hybrid, if you're very much liking the irons, I would stay in the hybrid area as well. All right, long overdue for a set upgrade. Been playing amp cells, yeah. Wanting advice mid-handicap. Dude, that's going to be a tough call anymore for mid-handicap set. If you're looking just in irons alone, you might be somewhere in the for the amp cells. They have a lot off of there. I'd take a look at and see what's coming out here shortly is Wilson in a D9. It's in January. I'd take a look at that. I'd also look at and these are all going to be in steel because the other ones are going to be too high. And Callaway's got one that's going to be, look at Callaway and the Maverick and see what they've got and see from there. Or the new, if you saw the new ones that are coming out from Cobra, if you like playing the Cobra set, that latest set looks to be pretty good too. Holy moly, dude. We expect that. Scranton, PA. Snowy Nipa. Kurakagi silver driver and love it. Would work good in a 3-wood. Same feel as the driver. Stay safe. On ecology. Well, you stay safe, sir. I would say no. You would want a Kurakagi that is not a driver shaft cut down. It would not feel the same, no. But if they had a Kurakagi that was a fairway wood shaft, then yes, I would go with that. Which I'm pretty sure they do not. And so no, I would not put that in there. Merry Christmas to you, Joe, from in Leeds. We got UK. I guess you guys are really bored being locked down. And you too, sir. Merry Christmas to you guys. I'm going to go through this quite quick, because we're getting down to the end. Yes, it does. Here we go. Toronto, Canada. You're very welcome, Ted. Merry Christmas to you. The Great Conjunction is trumping the golf obsession. Hey, I'm with you, man. I'm going to try and get outside when we're done here. Thomas, Merry Christmas to you as well. Well, look at that. Didn't know. Thanks for the information. And the same to you, Russ. Thank you very much. Massachusetts, I hate to see that, but be safe, Bill, and Merry Christmas to you and the family. We're going to keep going through here. Matthew O'Malley from New York, thank you, sir, and Merry Christmas. Yep, we was talking about the narrowish show, Joey. The sevens. I was thinking 5 or 7. I couldn't remember which one it was. Austin, Texas. Russ, thank you. And the mixed set would be very, very cool. Ooh. Weight and flex, yes. I don't know about strong, but weight and flex. There's Kurt Busch. Merry Christmas from Denmark. Holy cow. Kurt, thank you so much for coming in, and Merry Christmas to you too. Matthew, I believe the Aerotech is a good line. I don't know if you can, as long as you got the right everything you need, I think it's a very good one. What's your criteria when you choose brands or models that will fit and sell in your shop? Well, Jack, number one, and it's probably the final check in the box is that they actually sell left-handed clubs. Not all, but some. That tells me they're in the game, they're in it to win it kind of stuff. The other one is reputation and quality of work and what and how we can work. I tend to try and make relationships, not business partners. And that way I know I can get the best out of it. And that's what's happened with Mizuno. That's happened with Callaway. It happened with Wilson, right? And it even happened with Eric when it was New Level. He just decided to go a different way, so and more power to him. And now we're hoping that Srixon's going to be in that group as well. Brooklyn, New York. Eric, thank you. And Merry Christmas. And here we go. Made it to the bottom. Peter, Merry Christmas to all you guys. And again, we made it around the world. And we're going to come back. It's going to be after Christmas. I'll have a little Christmas poem for you to get things started that I do annually, which I should have had done this time. And guys and gals, stay safe. Enjoy your family as much as you possibly can. Merry Christmas to you all. And I hope to see you next Monday when we do this. Don't forget our video, like and subscribe. And the last but not least again, stay safe and Merry Christmas.